Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another short review. This one is on the TDS branded Box Squat Box. So in order to keep this organized, we're going to cover 5 things. We're going to cover what it is, how much it costs, how it's used, other variations of this item, so we're going to talk about a couple other brands, and lastly we're going to talk about my opinions and close off with like a bottom line recommendation. So first up, what is it? Well, it's a box squat box. It is made out of a kind of thin gauge steel, and it has this design where it's a single post down and then feet that are teed off at the bottom. The actual steel is relatively thin construction overall, and I'll pop off a leg here so you can see. So if we look here, we can see that it's actually made out of a relatively thin gauge steel. It's not very heavy duty, so to speak. You can actually see there's a slight bend in this box from its use. Now we'll get to that a little bit later on how I actually use this thing. We abused the living hell out of it, and it's held up pretty well. But what it costs, so the reviewed version, so what I just showed you, is available on Amazon, or at least it was available on Amazon last year. I got it as a gift over Christmas and have used it pretty heavily, pretty extensively, and for a lot of different things. With the reviewed version, cost $100, and that was shipped. So $100 out the door, it was delivered to my door, $100 shipped. Currently, it's actually not available on Amazon, so I don't know if they just pulled it off for some reason, but no longer available on Amazon. But if you go to the TDS website, which I'm going to be really honest, the website could really use a facelift, but go to the website, $119 plus free shipping gets you the box from them to your door. And they are up in New York, I'm pretty sure. I think they're an importer from up in New York. And so depending on where you live, that might be quick shipping to you. All right, so it's used as a box squat. And in its box squat configuration, you're gonna find that you have to raise this up and down to accommodate different heights of your squat. On it, there is a single pin, and then there's a set screw, and then kind of one of those pop pins. So like you can screw it in, but it's also kind of a set pin. The way this works is I like to do it so that the wing nut is on the inside so that nothing can clip. But you pull your pop pin out, it goes into the hole. Then you take your guide pin, push it all the way through, screw the pop pin down, screw the stabilizer down, and that's how you adjust it from 12 all the way to 16 inches. So like I said, it's used for box squats. You can also use it for step-ups. So if you're doing like a safety squat bar step-up, you can use it for that. I used it a lot for power stairs, which is actually how it got its bend in mine. And you can actually see the crinkle in the material. You can use it for back unsupported overhead work. There's a really cheesy picture on their website of some guy, and I'm pretty sure it's 100% Photoshop. For whatever reason, it just looks Photoshop. But you can get it there, and but you can use it for like an unsupported back overhead press or anything where you want to sit. You don't necessarily need the back part of a bench. So I'm not sure why you would need that, but now for some other brands, some other variations. I'm just going to stick with the basic ones. I'm actually going to start with the Titan one. So Titan has an adjustable plyometric box. It cost $103.99 shipped to your door, and it looks like it's a lot better construction. I haven't actually held it in my hands, but it claims to have the 12 to 18 inches of adjustable height. It looks like a better construction rather than having this T design where it's a single support up and then feet like this. It's actually completely boxed off. And it claims that you can also use it for box squats. So it could probably handle the stress of a full-grown person jumping on it doing a box squat. I can tell you right now, I'm a 200-pound person, and I do not think I would trust doing a box jump onto this box. 100% no. Even when it was brand new, 100% no. There's also an Elite FTS version, which is $209, so a significant price jump. We're getting to a way different price jump now. Plus you have to pay shipping. It has very similar construction to the TDS, so it's the T version with the feet, but instead of the T, the top of the T coming into this vertically, it's actually offset, so it widens your base a little bit, and I think that potentially adds to its stability, maybe making the box a little bit more stable for some of those heavier box squats. And of course Rogue has one, and you can get that, and it's made out of 2x2 11 gauge steel. Obviously it'd be great construction, but it better be, because it's got a $289.50 price tag plus shipping. Similar construction to the TDS, similar construction to the Elite FTS, but with a significantly higher price tag. Not sure if it's really worth it, but I have used one, and I can tell you that it feels like a solid piece of equipment. So I really do, I want to hate this thing. I want to hate it so much. It's got this kind of cheap vinyl covering with some plywood underneath and some really thin padding. It's really thin gauge construction, but I'm going to be honest, I really can't hate this thing that much. It has taken some serious abuse, to include when we set it up for power stairs. And we literally tried to break it. We were taking like 400 pounds on the power stairs and using this as one of the steps. That's where this chew up bit is here. And even that, from the loading pin, it's taken almost zero abuse. So I really can't knock this thing that much. We've used it for heavy step ups, we've used it for power stairs, I've used it for box squatting. My daughter likes to jump up and down on it, but obviously that's not going to stress it too much. The feet are relatively easy to adjust. I did think it was a little bit overkill to have the safety pin as well as the pop pin, but I imagine that there's a certain amount of safety that has to be considered. But with this safety pin, the only way that the safety pin is tight is if you actually tighten down this pop pin. Because if you don't, this thing just wants to come right out. It's like super loose, super squirrely, to the point where if you pick it up and you tip it towards the L portion of the pin, it'll just fall right out. It's got the 2 set screws, which is actually kind of nice. Those 2 set screws work really well to really lock it into position. And there's not a lot of play, not a lot of wobble in the feet. So, I mean, relatively good, relatively solid. It's also got the center support for underneath the plywood, and all of these screws go into, not just into the wood, but they're actually threaded into a captive fastener that's up in the top, which we saw because we chewed through it doing some heavy power stairs. Another thing, it comes with these rubber feet. The rubber feet are nice. They don't really, I wouldn't really call them rubber as much as I would call them plastic. They do grip against concrete, they do grip against rubber, but they slide right across wood. So if you're squatting on a wood platform and you bump this thing, you're going to bump it right out of position. It's not going to hold at all. The top material is another, it wasn't really a source of contention. It was just I think it was a miscommunication. On the Amazon link, as well as on the website link, it claims that this is a rubber top. This is definitely not a rubber top. This is definitely a cheap vinyl covering. This feels like really cheap, like, I don't know, just really cheap vinyl. It's got a small bit of padding underneath of it, and then it's a 1/2-inch piece of plywood underneath that. So, I mean, it's solid. It's good enough to do step-ups on, and obviously it's taken a heavy beating, but it's not the rubber top that was advertised on the website. Now for the bottom line. Is this a terrible purchase? Absolutely not. There's a lot worse purchases out there. I think it does a really good job, and unless you are absolutely belligerently strong and you are squatting like 1,000 pounds to this thing, I don't think I'd really worry about it. Like I said, we've dropped a lot of heavy weight on this. It has bent, however, it's still holding up, and I still trust it when I'm doing step-ups. It has a nice box frame. It's not thick gauge material, but it does have a box frame. But I really wish that it had heavier gauge construction. Now on that, if I was to go back in time and buy it again, I would buy the Titan adjustable plyometric box. The reason is because it is a fully boxed frame, so boxed everywhere, which is going to reduce this bend potential that you have. It's also got these little wheels, which would probably make it easier to move around. And it just seems like a heavier gauge product. I'd be willing to bet that it's heavier gauge. Obviously the Elite FTS and obviously the Rogue are going to be great products, but is it really worth spending over $100 more to get the Elite FTS one, to get the Rogue one? They all have the same adjustable spacing, so it kind of seems logical to me that the Titan one might be the way to go. Additionally, you can buy all of those really thick, if you go into Elite FTS's website, you can buy those like really thick pads for the top of these things. Well, the nice part is that they're all 18 by 18. They're all the exact same size. So in theory, you'd be able to get any of those pads to fit on any of the boxes. But that's my review. This has been the TDS Box Squat Box. Bottom line, it's a decent piece of equipment. I don't hate it. I definitely don't love it. And I would not buy it again. I would buy the Titan Fitness one. I appreciate you guys tuning into my channel. I hope you liked this review. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of these kind of videos, go ahead and click over here. Watch either some training footage or another review, or subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and every time I do a video, you will get a notification. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next time.
You got it.
5 more.
I feel like you did like 14, 15.
I feel like those were